I'm trying to skin to see if I can read this right. Hey, I had heard that you had fell ill, but you're back home and better, and somewhere along the lines, I wrote the story, and for some reason or other, decided I'd try and record myself reading it for you. You can. I'm gonna share the link so you can, and so you can read it with your own eyes and make it sound how you want. Uh, yeah, that's all. So let's get started. Moontraveler. For Chandra. The only way to rectify the situation is to make my own teleportation machine. Jonathan figured as he poorly and painfully worked a tangle out of his hair. Such things are easier said than done, but they won't get done before said, and so John made a crucial first step to a happier life. Looking up how to build a teleportation device on the internet yielded schemes, conspiracies, and a general lack of reality to be of much help. Being no stranger to serendipity, John decided that the right help would come in due time, and so he followed his path of life. One day, soon after, he had to go to Willard's Hardware off Scott to get trim for an old window. They still carried the type with a floral filigree, long since out of fashion, but always in style. Bells on the door jangled as he entered. The store smelled of gun oil, mothballs, and sawdust. Anything else? A medium-set man wearing a denim apron with Parian script over the pocket asked as he set down the decorative wood trim. A bag of those Cajun peanuts and a Coke. Someone around the way made the peanuts, and they were a special treat. Sure thing. While John waited on his change and drink, a slender fellow with long gray locks, wearing brown work clothes, walked in, up to the far end of the counter, and pressed the doorbell button. The chime could be heard faintly in the bank. Coming! A woman's voice came from the same way. No rush, ma'am. It wouldn't matter if it was. I will get there when I get there. The man in brown had a cloth sack, as he said on the counter. He lowered his voice so no one but she could hear. The two murmured back and forth for a minute until she limped to the back, the clomp of her cane setting time. Here you are, Perry had returned with a cold beverage, $1.34, and a receipt. Thank you. What do you sell that in? John asked. Well, things you might need that you can't find anywhere else. That's a lot of what you already have here. True. Miss Otis specializes in things of a peculiar nature. I am working on a something. John recalled that he did need to make a teleportation device. When is she here? You just have to ring the bell and see. You're the best! The man in brown exclaimed as Miss Otis handed him an old box. You don't have to tell me, the lady replied with a smile. They both chuckled as the happy customer headed towards the exit. John had a minute, so he walked to the window at the end of the counter and went to ring the bell to find that there was none there. He turned to Perry. The bell is gone. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. John pondered and came to the conclusion that there was nothing else he could do but try another time. Over the next weeks, he would make a point of going to Willard's more than usual for his hardware needs, and he would always check to see if Miss Otis was there, and the bell was never out. John was growing a bit discouraged, and his routine of life made the trips to Willard's less. It was March in a wet dog manner of day. Work was awash, and John was near, so he decided to see if the bell was out. He walked in. A Western was on the TV. There was always a Western on the TV. The front was dry, but he could hear a ditty of drips and drops in the back as buckets slowly and not so slowly filled from rain coming through. Harry was at the register helping a customer figure out what manner of plumbing they were looking at. John walked to the end of the counter, and where he expected nothing was a note that said, "Push button for help." He pressed the doorbell-type button, and a chime came from the back. Marshal Matt Dillon was saving a lady in mortal danger on the television. I really should detest these shows. Everything is solved by a good man killing some bad men, but killing is bad, so it is a bit of a fuddle. You like what you like. Honey, how right you are. How may I help you? Miss Otis had a youthful glow to her, but the presence of someone with an old soul who had lived a full life, but with far to go. She had long braids and a striation of turquoises and lapidas. John had not thought of what he would say before asking a stranger to store on parts for a teleportation device, so he just went to the point. I want to make a teleportation device. Okay. Anything else? It sounds crazy now that I say it. There are lots of different ways to move particles, but I need to know more. The why is just as crucial as the what. Oh. I wanted to be able to go see my lady so she can brush out the tangles and put my hair back in a nice braid. It is so nice, and I would like that, and she could do it more, but the drive is far from my old car. Miss Otis had a pensive look. Is something the matter? No. I'm just trying to remember the last time I heard anyone ask for such a thing. It's been too long. It may take me a few minutes, so have a sit if you want. Do you want some coffee? She waved over toward a tractor seat stool by the wall that he had not remembered ever seeing, but it was a store full of useful things, so easy to look over. Rain coming and going kept an organic count. John sat. The coffee cup felt good in his hands. The little steam coming from the top made it all the better. Living was a frightfully stressful thing in John's time and place. He was constantly moving forward to get ahead of the anxiety, focusing on the next task enough to be caught in the present. A tapping came into his days. Let's see what we got, Miss Otis exclaimed as she came to the counter with a small bundle of fabric rolled up. She set it down and unfurled it to reveal a brush and scissors. She picked up the scissors. Come here, I need a piece of that fine hair. She cut off a section of the goobered end with paint and put it in a small paper sack. Send this to where you want to go. Now it's important. It must be where you really want to go. Once it is there, you can take the brush and use it. It uses lunar frequencies, so it really should be when the moon is clear and strong, or else it might only work part way, and that's not what you want. Can't imagine I would. Once you're ready to go home, use the brush again. Neat! As your hair will be. Ha! Now go and wait for a clear night and get your head right, Miss Otis said with a kind smile. What do I owe you? $10. John handed her the money, a bit unsure if any of it made sense, but he felt no reason that it did not. Thank you, ma'am. It is my pleasure. Come back for a visit. With a coy smile, she turned around and rap-tapped her way back. To the post office his day took him, and after making sure to triple-check the address, even though Celeste lived in a small town and the postman knew which names went to which boxes, John didn't want to take any chances. He scribbled out a little note in his cramped hand. Let me know when you get this. He picked a stamp with sunflowers on it. They had some car stamps that he thought were pretty sharp, but Celeste liked sunflowers, so it fit the envelope better. Into the Blue Monster it went, and through the magic of human cooperation and industry, it would be where it should be in a day's time. Not all magic is magic. Some of it is real. The next day was one of those days. He was caked in dried caulk and paint. It was all overhead work, so thrice as messy, and a tall 3 stories off the pavement. John was not naturally comfortable with heights and would sometimes have to stop and touch the ground just to regain his legs. He managed to get past the worst of it and felt accomplished about that. There was a message on his phone from Celeste. Hey, I got a note from you, and it looks like a glob of your hair. Good news. It's a bit of a surprise, he responded. Okay. I was unsure whether I should be worried or not. We shall see. I don't know much about magic, so don't show up here with a chicken head or nothing like that. John went home and scrubbed the dirt, paint, caulk, stirred, and stuck. His hair was going to be a chore to untangle. He was going through his normal habit of brushing out with a dollar store brush when he remembered the magic brush, and so he went to grab it. The logic seemed sound, despite the whole concept being ridiculous. Maybe it was on account of a world gone insane, and which should not be becoming so much of what it is. The moon was clear from John's place. He could see his backyard in the cool light. The tides would be extra high. He recalled one of the most beautiful sights he could ever imagine while on a rowboat with his grandmother and a brother one night many years back. The phosphorescence had appeared. Each dip of the oar brought about spirals of glowing lights within the water. They stayed close to the shore, as it was the safest spot to do something like go for a row at night. John was fond of looking at the water's edge from the water side. It seemed so much more at ease. Decades later, he couldn't remember as well as he wished, but it felt like the world was charged with moonlight and it reverberated all around and within the water. Hey! John heard Celeste speaking as he was standing in her room brushing his hair. He looked over as she sat surrounded by books and notebooks and stories in the process of becoming. Hi. He said, a bit confused, but far less than she. I bought a magic brush from a lady at the hardware store. I guess it worked. Well, that's a something. What have you been doing? Your head is a mess. I know. That's how this all got started. I can't brush and braid it like you. They embraced and talked and enjoyed each other's presence while she combed the tangles and then plaited his hair toward the back with a nice tight braid with extra rubber bands to keep it from getting undone. Tomorrow would be another day trying to figure out a way to make a way. There was no reason to worry about that, as he had everything he needed for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and, look forward to catching up soon.